Greetings, everybody. How you doing? My name is Adrian, and I am a personal trainer over at Anytime Fitness in Palatine. This presentation is specific to the use of TRX. And TRX is a wonderful tool. It's one that I've used for a number of years in my own profession as well as personally. And as we'll see, it was just born out of necessity. And it's a real simple tool. So TRX is in essence a strap system that ties off to a piece of equipment, and you have two handles that you hold on to that you can perform a number of different exercises, either by holding onto them or having your feet in the straps. And it was actually born out of necessity where you had individuals who were out in the field for the military, and they literally took parachute straps and tied off parachute straps to handles and did exercises. They couldn't lug an entire gym worth of equipment with them out into the field, so they got creative and they came up with this. It was a wonderful tool that's really been, if you will, a sizable part of the industry. It's used in the industry almost in every facility. Now, with TRX, what you have to keep in mind are a few things. In this example, you can see the tie-off point is a little bit different for each one, and you can see what is in contact with the ground is different. In this case, it's her heels. Over here, it is their elbows. So it makes a difference, right, in terms of what you're trying to accomplish with your workouts. The other part of this is, if you look at the tie-off point and what it does to her lean versus their body position, you can think of this in terms of, and I'll refer to this many times in this presentation, a push-up that's done against the ground versus a push-up against the wall. When you do a push-up against the wall, it actually starts to cut the effects of gravity. It makes the push-up more, or easier, I should say, not more easier. It makes the push-up easier. So keep in mind when we look through these different videos, where the TRX is tied off, what body part is on the ground, and then with the body part that's in contact with the ground, that matters, but also what matters is what is actually in contact with the TRX. Your feet or your hands, is it one hand or is it two? So when you do different exercises, the human body is a wonderful machine that can actually operate in many different planes of movement. If we boil it down to TRX, you have, is your movement linear, straight ahead, or is it rotational, off going side to side? Is it symmetrical, where you're doing maybe like a press? Or is it asymmetrical, where you're doing a press movement on one side and you have a fly, a single joint movement on the other side? Very common to see those types of combination platter exercises done on TRX. And with those symmetrical and asymmetrical exercises, many times you'll end up having either a single joint or multi-joint exercise. And it makes a difference in your workouts. So really what you're looking at when you get yourself set up and you look at starting off with TRX, you just have to be aware of that tie-off point and your position relative to gravity, and understand how TRX is going to actually alter the effects of gravity. Gravity still wants to pull you straight down to the floor, but by holding onto the TRX at a different angle or and putting your body in a different position, it's going to change how gravity affects you and affects the resistance. A couple bullet points that you got to think of for safety. Make sure you have good shoes that have good traction, dry hands so you can hang on to the handles, good contact with the ground, and make sure that TRX is tied off properly. They have a really strong grommet and carabiner type of system, and sometimes somebody will come in, use a piece of equipment, move it somewhere else, and they just won't put it back correctly. Take a moment before you grab the handles and lean back and put yourself in a vulnerable position to make sure that that hook and grommet and hook system or carabiner system is actually tied off correctly. And if you have questions, please ask somebody in the facility. And use the TRX in an appropriate manner. It is not designed like a set of rings you'd see in the Olympics. It's designed for exercise. So the biggie is with the shoes and contact with the ground is make sure you have a good what's called coefficient of friction. You have a good contact with the ground so your feet don't slide out from underneath you, boom, and you end up landing on the ground. So we're going to go through a couple different exercises here, and I'm not going to belabor this slide, but you'll see a couple variations in here with these exercises. So the first one up is a two-handed row. Now with the two-handed row here, the participant is doing a row exercise that's tied off up top and they're leaning back. Now notice partway through, we'll change the body position. Boom, bring the feet actually forward, And now the row is more vertical, which makes it more challenging. We've just increased the degree of difficulty. If you want to increase the degree of difficulty further, you do that row with your heels on a physio ball. And just so you have it for reference, excuse me, you have the video embedded in this presentation, but also this is a link to the video to the right here. So you can either do a control click on this, or you can do a cut and paste into your browser window. I'll take you into the next video. This will be a squat, and this is actually a squat to and I'm transitioning this to a single leg squat, not a squat to row. So here you go, dialed in. We have a lean, a little bit of a hop there to get the feet set. Now the feet are set, we can do our squats like we normally would. And think of this in terms of how you can put together several of these exercises now. Okay, you're starting to build a catalog or a library. You can do, say, 10 reps on one leg, 10 reps on the other leg, and then move on to a regular old row. Going into push-ups, much like our row, location and position matters. So here we have a chest press, and you'll see a variation here in a second. And in this chest press, if we were to, just for a moment, change the angle and make it a flatter push-up, that will definitely make it more challenging. Or if you do what you're going to see here in a second, you change this up into more of a fly movement. We lengthen the straps. We change the body position ever so slightly to make it more challenging. Still a two-joint exercise. The elbows and shoulders are moving. And we'll change this into a more challenging single joint exercise. Out, a lot of core work going on there, to a fly. Out to a fly. Wonderful exercise variation. Really taxes the chest and shoulders. Causes the midsection to do a bunch of work. Single joint bicep curl. So we're facing the same way we were for the squat and single leg squat, and we can even do our row here. So now we have 3 exercises you can do back to back to back, all facing the same way. So bicep curl, leaning back, trying to keep the elbow uphill from the shoulder. So you have a slight uphill position on this, where this part of the body is in line with the straps as close as possible. As you're curling up to the top of the head, kind of where the hairline is. That might be higher for some people than others. And it's a bicep curl. Simple, simple exercise. If we turn this around, we go to a tricep extension. This takes a little bit of leap of faith because now you're lying almost out, if you will, face down to the floor, and you have to get comfortable in this position. And whether it's this one or the bicep curl, you look for the ear, the shoulder, the hip, and knee all to stay pretty darn straight. This is not pointed straight down at the floor, nor is it pointed straight down at the wall. It's more like out and down at like the trim on the floor out in front of you. Let's let this guy do some work here. All you're doing is just hinging at the elbow, top of the head, extend, hinge. Body position's looking pretty good there, staying pretty darn straight. Hinge at the elbows, 90 degrees, and extend. Tricep extension. You'll see this done many times lying on a bench, holding a bar, bringing the bar down to the forehead and extending and coming up and working the triceps. If we jump into the next exercise, this is an oblique exercise called praying man. And with this, you start, I want to point this out, notice the body lean on this, right? You have the belly button and the nose, they're not plumb, meaning straight up and down. You actually have a slight lean. And what you're doing here is you go from a short lever position with the hands in front of the nose to a long lever position with the hands above the head. This part of the body has to do a ton of work to stay straight. Let that play so you can see that. Short lever, short, long, torso staying nice and straight. I'll turn myself around partway through. You can see the back side of this. Notice the hand position, we're changing the hands, so you're holding out with the left hand here and covering with the right. Pretty darn straight. I'm catching a little bit of a hip there as I'm getting tired, but that's an oblique exercise. A couple variations for lower body. You'll see these done on a physio ball. You'll sometimes see these done foam roller, etc., or just flat on the ground. This guy over here, you're face down, and in that face down position, we're going into mountain climber. And mountain climber is more of a higher intensity, kind of a HIIT type of protocol, but you can switch that into ab and adduction from your mountain climbers. And even here, we can go to pike and plank, pike and plank. Another exercise you can throw into this little combination of 4 exercises would be feet in straps and do push-ups while on the ground. So you could actually do 4 exercises back to back to back to back to back in one grouping. This would be laying down your back, heels are in the straps, and you're doing, there you go, a bridge type movement where you're resting on the shoulder blades and the heels are in the straps. And as you extend out, the hamstrings do some work and the calves as well. And as you come back in, you are bending the knees but keeping the hips up off the ground. So a couple real easy variations. And as I mentioned before, not exhaustive by any means. And when it's all said and done, you can actually do a ton of different variations on TRX. And my hope is through this presentation and perhaps seeing other people do exercises in the facility on TRX, you'll be able to add to your catalog. And where you can use TRX, for example, is a series of 6 exercises as part of a warm-up before you go do an upper body workout. It can be part of a much bigger circuit, if you will, where you maybe do a dumbbell bench press, you're doing lunges, you might do TRX row or TRX bicep curl, and then you can integrate that in as a different modality within your workout itself. I've done TRX workouts where I've done a circuit of TRX, 5-minute run on a treadmill, circuit of TRX, 5-minute run on a treadmill, and I've done that for my workout for the day. So you're not really limited by anything when you start to incorporate in different modalities into your workouts. And it's really that creativity that will allow you to work out and not have your body become bored or stale in the process, and you'll continue to get results. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or any of the other trainers on staff. They'll be happy to work with you. If you have any other more specific questions regarding training, please feel free to ask us or feel free to ask Tommy. He'll be happy to help you as well. Thank you again for your time, and I hope this opened your eyes to what you can do on TRX, and I hope you start using it to your advantage in your workouts. Thank you.